We got the details on the compromise plan attempting to meld the House and Senate GOP different versions of their tax bills, which has things that are different from both versions actually, which is obviously expected. It's passed in the House, it's passed in the Senate, but they were different, so you have to have a version that is identical to pass in both. This is what they're going to attempt to vote on Tuesday, and here are some of the details that immediately stand out. So we talked about this earlier this week. In the Senate version of the bill, the top tax bracket was going to stay at 39.6. I think in the House it was 38. So those are different. So you need to compromise by taking it down to 37. So it's actually going to be lowered. The Senate hadn't actually cut the top tax rate specifically for the wealthiest individuals, but in this new version it will be cut. Let's see, drops the corporate tax rate to 21% from the current 35, so 1 percentage point higher than in the Senate version of the bill. A dramatic cut to corporate taxes there. Has a 20% business income deduction for the first approximately $300,000 in income earned by pass-through businesses. And that's something we've been talking a lot about on the show today, which there are legitimate uses for this area of the tax code, but it also allows a lot of wealthy individuals like Donald Trump and his family to sort of pretend to be corporations for the purpose of personal income and will allow them to pay a significantly lower tax rate through this. This bill, like the Senate bill, cuts the mandate for Obamacare. Is believed that in the medium term, this will kick about 13 million people off their health insurance, and long term might undermine and destroy the entirety of the ACA. It eliminates the corporate alternative minimum tax, which is one of the nods to fiscal responsibility in the Senate bill. Well, that's now gone, so that's good. The death tax, or the way they call it, it's actually the estate tax, is going to remain, but the exemption from it would be doubled. So technically there will still be an estate tax, but you can shield twice as much money from it if you're one of the incredibly wealthy people that falls under that. Rubio got his increase to the child tax credit. It's going up to $2,000 per child from $1,000. And the plan would limit but not eliminate state and local tax deductions, which is one of the biggest changes that will affect most of the people watching the show, I believe. It will allow deduction of up to $10,000 in state and local sales, income, and property taxes, whereas previously that would be entirely eliminated. So this is still a limiting, and this bill, as it stands, is not only still targeted at wealthy individuals and corporations, but it is in fact, from the purpose of individuals, it is even more luxurious in what it grants them.
Yeah. Well, so a couple takes on this. First of all, the giant winners here are not individual rich people, it's corporations. Now, eventually that of course goes to the corporate executives, et cetera, but and to some shareholders, but corporations make out like bandits here. So in this final version, there's some slight improvements over the more draconian measures, and we should give the devil its due and just emphasize two of those. The fact that at least you're going to get to keep your state and local tax deductions up to $10,000, that does protect the middle class a little bit more. So
that was going to be devastating if they totally eliminated that, especially in places like California.
That's enduring, or if that's going to sunset where the other things will stay?
I'm not sure. My gut would say that the ones targeting lower and middle income individuals will, like in the Senate version, sunset.
Would be the
but we're getting the
but we don't
initial
know
details.
Yet. Right.
It's
because
possible,
it just came out, guys.
Yeah, people are probably still trying to decipher the handwriting in the margins of the bill.
Yeah, and so at least that's a slight improvement. And another slight improvement is now you'll only be able to shield $22 million in personal wealth if you're a couple with the estate tax. So if you're like Donald Trump and you claim you have $10 billion, at least most of that will be taxed, like it should be. And it's not taxed. It's not Donald Trump being taxed. It's Donald Trump Jr. being taxed. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, Eric doesn't get any of it.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
But again, you're not talking about a huge number of estates that are affected. So to think that that somehow makes all of this great is ridiculous, because it doesn't, because there are not that many estates that are affected by this. The crime in here has to do with the permanence of that corporate tax and it going down to 21%. And even though there was a 1% concession there, because initially it was going to be 20%. Come on, I mean, it's ridiculous. I thought it was ridiculous when they were going back to 22, and I guess the Republicans were able to figure out a way to do that. Anything on the mortgage interest?
I didn't see anything about it. I did read that at least yesterday, the massive change to how they tax graduate students was being dropped. That was just going to be devastating and unnecessary. I'm glad that you brought up the estate tax though. Some of these, it can be difficult to know exactly how it affects you, if it affects you at all. And I know that because of the ways that the estate tax is, they call it the death tax, they call it the estate tax, you may not know, does this affect you? Well, the simple way to tell is, do you live on an estate? I don't. So I'm not going to benefit from this. I don't know about you.
Not quite literal, but good point.
But the headline, Cenk, you went right to the meat of the corporate tax and all of that. But the headline too is this Obamacare stuff. I mean, that is because that will adversely affect middle class people, and I think that there's no question that this is a way that they're able, that the president specifically is able to say, well, we weren't able to do it directly with healthcare, so we're going to squeeze it in here. This isn't anything new that we're just learning today. But this, to me, is the most impactful part of this, and I don't know about the most egregious. Again, also, we should say we knew this was going to happen. Right? We knew that they were going to get this done no matter what. I don't think there was ever a doubt.
I can't believe it took as long as it did.
Every victory from the nuclear deal to Obamacare protection to whatever little victories have happened in Congress just by virtue of the fact that the president not getting things done, this we always knew was going to be something that they were going to get.
Yeah, it always greatly annoyed me when right-wingers or the media would pretend that this was up in the air. It's not up in the air. This is what they got paid for. Every donor wanted this. There was no way it wasn't going to get done. They run the country, so.
Well, Rubio had been saying he was going to not vote.
The Rubio thing, whenever Rubio threatens anything, he's the most, I think he is the most poorly advised member of the US Senate. Every single time that he has an opportunity to set himself apart from a pack that he wants to set himself apart from in order to run for president, again, he does the exact opposite of what he should do.
Yeah,
but politically, I don't care what he believes politically, because he doesn't care what he believes.
And in addition, Corker, who had voted against the previous, the Republican senator who voted against the previous Senate version of the bill, has said that he will vote for this. So
of course he will, because it was all a lie.
It
was all, he claimed that he cared about the $1.5 trillion deficit that this creates. It still creates that. And he doesn't care. Susan Collins.
Some of these changes imply that it might create a larger one. I honestly don't know in the Senate how this is going to work.
Do we know Flake was undecided when I last heard?
I'm not sure about Flake.
I know it doesn't. I know it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, at least Senator Luther Strange, who was elected by the people of Alabama, except that he wasn't, and there's a new senator who was, is going to be able to vote on this. But just going back to Corker for a second, yesterday there was a poll out of Tennessee. It was a Gravis poll that said that Phil Bredesen, who was the former mayor of Nashville, is going to run for that Senate seat against Marsha Blackburn, who everybody assumed was going to win it, running away. Bredesen is up by 2 points. As soon as Corker saw that, because I said, the moment I saw that poll, I said, well, we lost Corker just now, because he needs to give politically a tax cut to Tennessee that he didn't stand in the way of, so that the Republicans look like they helped with taxes. And that was my first read immediately when I saw it.
You better hope that they don't actually see the details of this, though.
Yeah,
that might change the effect.
Yeah, they're not going to win. They're going to lose in Tennessee. They're going to lose everywhere. But that's a separate conversation. Great analysis on the politics of it by Michael. But the heart of this, I don't want you to get me wrong. So I told you the tiny little bit that was slightly better than the most horrible version earlier. But they moved the Overton window all the way so far to the right by Trump first saying, I'm going to cut corporate taxes down to 15%, then 20, then 21, and it seems like, boy, what concessions. No, they lowered it from 35 to 21.
This is a historic tax cut for corporations. I mean, we've never seen anything like this.
Corporations run this country. They run this country, okay? And so we don't, those are not our representatives. They are the representative of the corporate donors that have taken over the body politic completely. So all of these, they don't get rid of taxes. You can't get rid of taxes. We still need schools. We still need bridges. Okay, what they do is they shift the taxes onto you. So that's why Michael asked about the sunset provision, because in 2017, they take away all the benefits that come to you, but leave the benefits for corporations.
27.
So I'm sorry, 2027, 10 years from now. So, and what happens, that means everybody making under $75,000 is going to get a tax increase. This is the biggest wealth redistribution we've ever had, and it is redistributing to the top. And you can see how disingenuous they are with one example, the pass-through tax. There's pass-through tax is a perfectly good, normal thing. And for example, Young Turks used to be a pass-through corporation. So what does that mean? It means that it passes through and you only get taxed on it once for the people who are the owners of that privately held corporation, okay? Now, so that's logical, that's fine, and there's different ways to do corporations.
Explain that a little better.
Yeah, so the corporation doesn't get taxed at 35. Like if you're not a pass-through, the corporate taxes used to be 35%, and then you have your own personal income taxes. If you're a corporation doing great, so you're still going to pay 35%, and the guy, whoever is at the end of that, will pay in the old days around 39%. Okay, so that is actually double taxation, but there's a good reason for that because the guy is not the same thing as the corporation, right? But if you're a smaller business, you say, hey, you know what? We don't need to tax this guy twice. Bob is the owner of XYZ Plumbing, right?
He is basically the
corporation. He is basically XYZ Plumbing, right? So, okay, you can pass through and you will get taxed. Bob will get taxed, okay? But XYZ Plumbing won't get taxed. So it's a single taxation. When you get larger, then you're not allowed to do that, and it's et cetera. But in this bill, what they do is, okay, you're still allowed to pass through. Nobody's disputing that. That's fine, right? And then we're going to lower it. Why? You're only getting taxed once anyway. Why do you have to lower that pass-through income to 20%? Well, if you do that, then every rich person in the country is going to go 37%. We only lowered it 2 points. I am now the owner of XYZ Dentistry, XYZ Doctor Office, XYZ Legal Office, XYZ whoever the hell, whatever the hell else I'm going to pretend to have
XYZ
as a business,
stakes.
right? Yeah. And they're all going to do pass-through income, and the rich got their taxes just cut down to 20%.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. They just took all your money and just gave it to the rich. You just watched the video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. TYTnetwork.com/join.